Ann Bowser is a program associate with the Science and Technology Innovation Program at the Wilson Center. She co-directs the Commons Lab, a research project focused on mobilizing public participation and innovation in science, technology, and policy. And she joins us today to discuss a new project in collaboration with GSA and the White House. Ann, welcome to Wilson Center Now. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, John.
So tell us, what is CitizenScience.gov, this new project?
CitizenScience.gov is a hub. It's going to be the go-to resource for everyone looking for information on citizen science and crowdsourcing in the U.S. government, and also the go-to resource for federal practitioners and decision makers hoping to understand how citizen science and crowdsourcing work. And it's actually a collection of 3 pages. There's a catalog of citizen science and crowdsourcing projects, a toolkit with different how-to and practical resources, and a community page.
I'm going to dive into those a little deeper in a moment, but first I want to backtrack a second, and for the uninformed, define citizen science. What are we talking about? You don't have to be a scientist to be engaged in citizen science, is that correct?
You don't, that's the point. The definition is still a bit contested, but very generally it's public participation in science and technology and policy beyond the traditional boundaries of what the public can do.
Could you pick a specific case study to bring this to life for people who don't quite get it? I may be among those at times, at various times. What would be, I know one time we did an interview with one of your colleagues where we talked about gathering information right after an earthquake, for example. What would be the best case study that illustrates what citizen science's potential is and what it can be?
So along those lines, the USGS has a very interesting project called the Twitter Earthquake Detection Survey, TED, where people can tweet in whenever they feel an earthquake in their area, and that's actually proven in some ways to be more effective at finding earthquakes earlier on than professional scientific instruments.
And so what is the value to then real scientists or non-citizen scientists?
The value is using the power of the crowd to get more information faster.
So what do you hope to achieve with this new site?
We hope to make it easier for government agencies to use citizen science and crowdsourcing to achieve their different goals, and also to raise awareness in the public of all of the great projects that are going on in the U.S. government.
Is there sort of a growing network out there of people who have a lot of energy and are doing a lot of things and they just need a place like this to deposit it?
Yes, there are numerous networks. So within the U.S. government, we have a grassroots community of practice called the Federal Community of Practice for Crowdsourcing and Citizen Science. And then there's also a newer group of official agency coordinators. So each agency under the jurisdiction of OSTP has appointed a coordinator as the go-to contact for more information about citizen science and crowdsourcing within that agency. And then outside of the U.S. government, there are 3 umbrella associations that are forming to support citizen science: the Citizen Science Association in the United States, and then an association in Europe called EXA, and one in Australia called AXA.
And why is the U.S. Government so interested in this?
Because open innovation is great. I mean,
tapping the vein of some valuable resource.
Harnessing the ingenuity of the American public.
Yeah, and so you were kind enough to send me a link, and so I got a little preview of some. One thing that caught my eye was the map that shows where these projects are happening. Could you describe that to us?
So the goal of the Catalogue of citizen science and crowdsourcing projects, which has a GIS or a map-based interface, is to show where all of these different activities are happening and where these activities are being coordinated. So what we're hoping to achieve there is to use a visual to show where the different projects are located so that federal practitioners can find one another and either share data or share recommendations on how to design citizen science and how to execute different projects. And then also a secondary goal is to help the public find projects to participate in.
And is it fair to say you're not just an interested observer? You'd like to see the dots on that map increase. You want to see more of this.
We would like to see the dots on that map exponentially increase. We would like to see more citizen science projects, and then also over the next 2 years, we're going to be looking at ways to capture different types of information, for example, by showing actual data points collected by citizen scientists on that map.
And along those lines, you mentioned the toolkit. What will people find there? What tools will be made available?
The toolkit has some very practical resources regarding how to set up a citizen science project. So information on things like how to motivate volunteers, where to find information about different data collection protocols, quality assurance practices, and then also information on legal and policy barriers or accelerators to doing citizen science in government.
And we are having this discussion prior to the official launch.
Yes.
When that happens and when we can release our discussion, where can people find more information? Where can they find the site?
www.CitizenScience.gov.
Well, thanks very much for joining us. Is there anything I haven't asked you about? I feel somewhat that since I will tell you the truth, as a non-scientist, but someone who appreciates science, I'm not always sure I'm completely understanding all the implications of this project and its potential. And so is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to comment on that I should have asked you about?
I think you've done a great job. The only other thing that I would mention is that Citizen Science provides an opportunity through some of the projects around data and data standardization for the public to really level up their contributions and be able to contribute to scientific research and talk with scientists in the same language that scientists use to talk amongst themselves.
It's pretty amazing times. We see in my profession, citizen journalism is a growing thing, and we all, with our cell phones and other devices, have the tools to report from anywhere. Same thing happening in science. It's very exciting. Congratulations, Anne, on this collaboration, and we look forward to hearing about the specific things that emerge from it as it progresses.
Thank you, John.